I didn't plan that. We're going to get 1111. I mean, so, next page. So, WordPerfect was invented by Alan Ashton and Bruce Bastian. Here, BYU, in the band. So, my family members was CFO of Novell. So, Novell, WordPerfect. I got my, that chain that I wear has my I Omega nail clippers on it. All here, all here, all here. So, Bill Gates in 1995, all roads lead to Bill Gates. He is Satan, period. So, Bill Gates, where did he get all this multi-billion dollars? WordPerfect had the entire field. When I was going to college here, teaching here, you know, I mean, at my age, I took the typing class at Weber High School. There were 100 students in it. I was the only boy. Here, you had to learn those commands. Shift F8, Shift 50. I mean, it was a beast. I learned in the, right there where Elizabeth Hall is now was where the building I learned. It was a beast. And so, you had to learn Lotus, all the spreadsheets, whatever. That's what our school business was. But it was WordPerfect Novell were king. They had 99.5% of the market. Right here, right here. The technology hub, right here, Utah. Then all of a sudden, 1995, Bill Gates, who's a nobody, nothing out of nowhere, just like Bezos. I mean, it's amazing how Amazon, when the dot-com collapses, all dot-coms except for Bezos. Whoa. So, he's got his new, he's experimenting with the mouse. Now, Steve Jobs used to come right here. Weber State in the early days had these big mainframes of Apple in the early days. Steve Jobs had been, he came here. And the reason is Steve Jobs' first boss, he actually went here, then in the University of Utah, who said I had to make him work at nights because he was such a dick. He's from here. You know, and so, Chuck E. Cheese, yeah, that guy, Atari, that guy. So, he works at Dill with WordPerfect. They've gotten together. Now stay with me. This is important stuff. So, they work at Dill here in Shadow Valley. We'll comply with each other. I'm going to use the mouse. Everybody's laughing. I'm like, nobody's going to use that mouse. It's all commands, commands, commands. Everybody's branded into the commands. So he spends $1 billion in an ad campaign for Windows. He's everywhere and everything. $1 billion. God, I was just talking about you. Hey, when you left KWCR, too shit.
Well, I'm over at Studio 76.
I know, I was doing the games. I've been fired from a game thing I don't pay, and then of course Manny quit, you know.
Yeah, he went to Arizona, right?
When he quit, I don't know who's running the show now, but how do you get fired from a job you don't get paid for? I said, you got to sell me. There's no takers. And get this, they told me that they were replacing that students. I've been in every game, including Jerry Carty set the all-time record for the most points ever scored in a game. Broke nobody. So I don't know what, the whole thing stinks, but I sure wish you were still there. You were the man.
Yeah, it's rough.
Oh, try to stand up to this machine? So, he's great. You never know, huh? That's who got me to do the games for, you say he ran it, you know, him and Manny. So, they spend billions out of nowhere, advertising campaign from hell. So then it gets out, here it comes. You go to use your WordPerfect and fuck you, eat shit, go to hell. That's for real, that's what it said. So I'm over there, and this is, you know, Clyde Cooley's going crazy about it. You know, we're internet, I'm trying to teach. I'm a student professor then, one of my Wall Street job, my plastic business, you know how I go. So, he gets mad cow and dies. Lawsuits are filed. He starts to take apart WordPerfect. WordPerfect merges with Novell. You know, everybody here is all gunged up, excited. My family, including my own brother, are bigwigs at Novell. All of a sudden, this guy from Sun Micro shows up. Who the fuck is this guy? He spoke right there. What? Eric Smith? How the fuck's he get this job? Not only was he not, he took, Novell had $1 billion in cash, which was a big deal in the 90s. He looted every fucking penny. This is 20 years ago right now when the market crashed on the Palm 3Com. By the way, the Palm patent I get in, I was the lead on the Palm 3Com derivative arbitrage, which was the 3Com Palm thing spread out. What the fuck? So lawsuits were filed against Gates. While I'm in the bone marrow transplant center dying of cancer, the suit actually finally happens. Gates is in federal courthouse in Salt Lake City. Took how many years to get to court? They get I don't even think it was a 7 or a 9. Somebody told me it was 11. I heard also, how do they get that many jurors? The more the jurors, the more likely of getting 2-1. How is it possible it's a hung jury, the most blatant crime, you know, it was a $1 billion lawsuit that took how many years by the end? Novell's bankrupt. WordPerfect's bankrupt. 1 juror's hung? You can't get to that juror. How's that even fucking possible? So, the Liber Lab. The WordPerfect, the operating system, the greatest invention, and probably technologically in history, was at BYU. By David McKay's grandson, Alan Ashton, and Bruce Bastian. Bruce Bastian. He's got 6 or 7 kids, stands up in a church meeting, and announces to the world, I'm gay. Bolts out. Him and Alan Ashton spend their whole lives fighting Proposition 8 in California, yet they're from Utah. Gold rush on Balco. Ask Steve Young, you don't believe me. Steve Young, all these girls are dating him around here. He's the guy, blah, blah. His parents live right up there. He's the guy. Debbie, my friend who I grew up with, is dating him. He built her a house. I stuck with the house. Oh, yeah. He's dating a lot of girls. I'm like, really? He's going to marry you? She's so creepy. She give me the heebie-jeebies from hell. Ha! They're all lining up his ward in Salt Lake going, I mean, it was a freak show. The Steve Young lottery. We used to laugh around here. So, he announced he's married some girl for 7. Oh, you should have seen these girls were on suicide watch. I laughed my ass off. I loved it. I knew it was married. Her brother, I guess, is gay. I don't know where it comes from, but Steve Young, he's going to be the next senator here. He's going to be the Paul. You want a bet? He's like, I want no part of it here. Bye. Greatest athlete in the history of this state? One of them. My uncle might be one of the other ones. He played at BYU also, but... So... Gates, how did he pull that off? He's CIA. That's how he pulled off. He's NSA. Just like, this was the most anti-Big Brother place in the world. Look up Wolfgang Gossett. Look him up. D.B. Cooper? You don't know counterculturists. You don't know what I got raised right here. They hated the feds. They were flag burners. Now, NSA's headquartered here. Big Data's headquartered here. How did that happen? How did the Chinese take over the Water School of Business, the #1 school of business in the United States? How did they blackball Kevin Blanch? How did they take my MBA, who I caught an Emmy? How do you go from #1 school business, and now you think about this. The Liber Lab, the Wattises, it's all CIA. The Mormon Church, I can get into it, completely taken over by the fucking CIA. I've known that for a long time. A lot of people say there was MI6 that even invented it. You know, Fama K. Brody, who did her work here. You see him mention her name around here? The greatest female artist in American history, greatest female writer, greatest historian, first female dean in history, right here. David O. McKay's niece. All ties, Alan Ashton, freaking his grandson, her nephew. You see him mention her name on this campus? 17-year-old professor in the 30s. First female dean of history. Right here on this hallowed state, you know, Ogden, Utah. She says, Mark Hoffman says, I read his book when I was on my mission. That's when it got him motivated. He did his work in here. He had a key to special collections. A lot of people did. Forging documents, whatever. He's in prison for life now. She says Joseph Smith wasn't a racist. Joseph Smith wrote that Mormon Church be a bloodline thing. His son, his son's son. The CIA and MI6 found Brigham Young, BYU, Woolsey, Lieberman's partner. Mike Lee invented it at BYU. BYU Law, all of it's all CIA, I'm here to tell you. 100%. I remember people used to accuse me of being CIA. You know, I'm like, yeah, right. That's why I'm so fucking poor. CIA even interviewed me in that school business on the derivative arbitrage thing at 9/11 when that happened. because I was so good at arbitraging. I'm one of the first guys that identified that bought puts on the airline stocks. You know, and they were going to set up a program. Why didn't they? Because Bush knew. Now think about Reagan, Hinckley, Zion Energy, their ties here. Oh yeah, I could write 100 books. But the Liber Lab, why is this not the front page? The virus comes out of a lab, why is this not front page? I'll keep going with this dissertation. My book. Stay tuned.